I'm hoping that the inverter itself is not damaged. So here's that inverter here. It's a 3,000 watt inverter charger. And right now there's no errors or anything, but if I turn that on, I don't know if it's inverting or not. But of course, first things first, before you do anything, gotta have coffee.
That's right.
This is that wire, as you can see, it melted. Looks like the actual wire is still intact, but we might have lost some connection here. We're lucky we didn't have a fire or something like that with that charred wire. Good afternoon. We are still in Florida. We are headed east. We just left the Lavender Farm, Southern Grace Lavender Farm. Our Boondockers, no, our Harvest Host was a great stay. Nice, peaceful, quiet stay. That place was pretty cool. They had, we just did the boondocking area. We did not hook up the power. They do have 3 sites that have power. Part of us kind of wished we had paid the $30 for power, because it was hot. It was like, you know, it was hot.
We survived.
But we've left there and we're now headed to our next stop, which is Blue Angel
Naval Recreation.
Yeah, Blue Angel Park is the name of the place. It's another military family camp, and it's another Navy base. Second one, if you remember, we stopped at Pelican Roost in Jacksonville, Florida. Now we're on the total other side of Florida in Pensacola.
Yeah, we're on the little toppy part now of Florida.
Panhandle. And all the way almost to Alabama, so Pensacola, Florida. We are almost to the Blue Angel Park, and it is, we'll show you all about it. This is our first time here. This is our second military fam camp, and our on this leg of the trip, we're actually staying 3 in a row.
Yes.
So we're staying the next 2 nights here. Then we're going on to Keesler Air Force Base, where I went to Air Traffic Control Tech School.
I know, super excited.
So, and that's in Biloxi, Mississippi. So that's where we're headed next for 2 nights. And then from there, we're going up to Barksdale. Hey, this morning we're going to try and take care of this inverter problem. I'm hoping that the inverter itself is not damaged, that it's just some couple of cables that I need to replace. They got kind of charred and melted a little bit, and so I need to replace those, and hopefully everything will work again. Because right now it's an inverter charger, and so it's supposed to be, when you're plugged in, it's supposed to charge the batteries, and it's not charging the batteries. Right now, the only way the batteries are getting charged is with the solar up on the roof. That's the only way it charges. So if the batteries are depleted and we plug in, we get power in the RV, but it doesn't charge the batteries. So I'm hoping it's just a cable issue and not the inverter charger issue. That'll be a whole nother problem if that's the case, but I'm gonna go ahead and try and take care of this and get these cables replaced, and hopefully everything will work again. So here's that inverter here. It's a 3,000 watt inverter charger, and right now there's no errors or anything, but if I turn that on, I don't know if it's inverting or not. I think it's not. First thing I need to do is get these batteries disconnected. Get these 2 lithium batteries here. I'm gonna go ahead and get them disconnected, and that's the way I can check out the cable situation. First things first, before I turn off any power, I'm gonna turn off the air conditioners. But of course, first things first, before you do anything, gotta have coffee.
That's right.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome, baby.
All right. Well, I just tested that. So we are inverting right now. I turned off main power and the inverter is working, microwave is on, and all that kind of stuff. So the inverter is inverting. which is good. That means it's not bad. Well, I still don't know if the charging function of this is bad or not, but in any case, we're inverting. So that's a good sign. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut everything off, disconnect those batteries, and start looking at those cables that I need to replace. All right, let's take a look here. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna disconnect here. So that'll disconnect positive power from the battery. And then I'll take them apart, and then I'll disconnect the negative down there. And we'll look and see what we're dealing with here. All right, so one of the issues I think is this cable here is just too small. It should be like this. This is 4/0 gauge cable, and this is not. So I think I'm going to replace this. I have enough cable to replace this, and whatever else needs to replace. Some of these cables are just too small. So you really should have 4/0 cable is really what you should be using on these things, because you have a lot of amps going through it, especially if you're running air conditioners and things. It has to pull that power from the battery to the inverter, and then invert it up to 120 volts. And so going from 12 volts to 120 volts, when you're pulling out much power, that requires a lot of amps. All right, let's take a look at what we got going on here. Okay, so we have two areas of concern. One is this wire here coming from the battery going to the shunt is undersized, and going from the shunt to this negative terminal here, as you can see, this really melted this wire. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like the wire is broken in any way. It's just the shielding around it has melted. Then the other issue is over here we have some charring here. So I'm not sure. That may be because I didn't have it tight enough or something. I'm not sure what happened there. But so this is, I'm going to need to cut this off, put a new piece on. But this wire is the correct size. Now on this wire is this T-fuse here. The fuse did not blow. So it charred before the fuse blew, so I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, I had to do a quick stand at attention. They were playing the national anthem. It's 8 a.m. Here we're staying on a Navy base, so if you're not familiar with staying on military installations, in the morning they'll play the national anthem as they raise the flag at usually 8 o'clock, sometimes it's 9 a.m. And then they'll do the same thing at 5 o'clock, though, when they lower the flag. So something you should do. If you're driving, you need to pull over. If you're walking or just doing anything outside, you need to just stop what you're doing, stand at attention, wait for the music to flag. Ideally, you should face where the flag is, but if you have no idea where the base flag is, you have no idea. But just stand at attention, be quiet. If you have kids riding their bikes, they need to know that etiquette too. It's just one of those things you got to do if you're staying on a military base. All right, so the good news is there should be just a couple things to do here. Replace this cable here. Replace this connector here that's charred. And I'm going to go ahead and replace this cable here with 4/0 wire. Just this didn't have an issue this time, but I don't want there to be an issue this time. So one cable, two cables to replace, and add a new connector there. All right, so here's the plan of action. I've got some new connectors here for 4/0 wire. I'm going to replace this. This is charred, as you can see. That got really charred right there. I'm thinking it was because it was a bad crimp. I'm thinking it was a bad crimp right there. And so I'm gonna go ahead and replace that. So it comes with the connector, it comes with the heat shrink. I've got my heat gun here, so, and I've got a hydraulic crimper. That tool cost me over $100, but it was a tool that you need if you're gonna be doing this kind of work. So I went ahead and got that tool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that off right there and crimp on a new piece, or a new connector. I bought a new distribution bar, but I didn't get the right size. I got 3/8, so they're 3/8 lugs, and a lot of my wires have 5/16 connectors, so it's not gonna work. But one terminal on this 4-terminal bus bar is bad. That's the one that got melted and everything, and so I'm just gonna use the other 3. So the other 3 are still good. So for now, until I can get a new bus bar to replace it. But for now, I'm just gonna use the same bus bar, but just use the 3 terminals. I know, this is the first time I've ever used one of these. It's a hydraulic crimper. It goes from 9-gauge wire up to 600 MCM. I'm not sure what 600 MCM is. I think it's probably pretty big wire, but it'll do our 4/0 wire for sure. Just need to figure out how to use this thing. Okay. There we go. All right. I don't know why they used 4/0 wire over here. So this was the wire that was used in our last RV that was installed by the dealer, and for some reason they used 4/0 wire on one side of this T-fuse, but they used 2/0 on the other. Not sure why they did that. Well, I'm pretty sure I know why, because they're dealers, and they don't seem to do the best of work. So this now is that charred connector replaced. So now all we gotta do is replace a couple of negative wires with 4/0 wire. This is that wire. As you can see, it melted. Looks like the actual wire is still intact, but we might have lost some connection here due to charring and corrosion and such. So we're going to replace this wire and this wire because these are the weak links here. These are way too small, way too small. So we're going to replace those with this 4/0 wire. Done. Okay, so as you can see, I got these nice hefty duty wires. Now everything is 4/0 except for the stuff that was, goes to items in the RV. Obviously I can't replace all those. The only thing I can replace, and I will eventually replace, this little wire kind of concerns me. This is just the ground to the chassis. Probably not a lot of amps are going through there, but I would feel better if that was 4/0 wire. So eventually I'll replace that. I don't have any more 4/0 wire right now, but eventually I'll replace that. Now, power's back on, inverter's on. We tested it, the inverter is inverting when needed, so that's good. What I don't know is whether or not the battery charging function works. So I'll have to test that. Right now we're 100% on the battery, so when we travel and we utilize some of the battery, what I'll do is I'm going to turn off solar, because I know solar charging works. So I'm going to turn off solar charging, allow this to charge when we do eventually hook back up to power, see if that charges the battery. If so, everything's good, and we're lucky we didn't have a fire or something like that with that charred wire. What happened was we left the campground, power went out, we had all 3 ACs running, so the inverter was trying to run all 3 ACs. That's a lot of amps going through those wires, and those wires were just undersized, so they got hot and they melted because they're just too undersized. So this should fix the problem. I don't recommend running 3 ACs on an inverter. I'm not sure how to even prevent that from happening other than turning off a couple of ACs when you leave, just in case the power runs out. I don't know, because that sucks that you have to do that. But you might have to do that. I don't know, because it didn't seem like the inverter shut down. It melted the wires before the inverter shut down. So I don't know. We'll see. With bigger wires now, maybe the inverter will. It'll suck the battery down super fast if we're running 3 ACs. But anyways, we'll monitor it, see how it goes, and hopefully everything is working again.
We're here at Blue Angel Park, a military family camp tucked along the Perdido Bay near Pensacola, Florida, aka the place where your RV finally gets to relax as hard as you do. We kick things off in the Battleship Row section, where every site is a perfectly level concrete pad. Seriously, they're so level we thought about breaking out a marble just to watch it sit still. Each site comes with a picnic table, fire pit, and full hookups. Water, sewer, 20, 30, and 50 amp power. Basically everything your rig dreams about when it's plugged in at night. The bathhouse here, they're legit. They've got family rooms, plenty of hot water and showers. They don't randomly switch from Arctic blast to lava waterfall, which is always a win. There's a laundry room with a coin-op speed queen, ready to battle your campground laundry pile, and an even dedicated dog wash room. Yes, your dog gets a spa day. Your dog will think this place is 5 stars. Outside, you've got a community picnic area with tables and vending machines, perfect for when you need chips right now and don't want to dig through every cabinet in the RV.
One row of sites is considered waterfront, and while it's not exactly waves crashing at your doorstep, you do get a front row view over the giant concrete shipyard with the bay in the background. Honestly, the view kind of grows on you. Kind of like modern art. The rest of the campground is dotted with big, shady trees and a mix of roomy back-in and pull-through sites. Plus, they've got a couple yurts you can rent if you want to feel outdoorsy without fully committing to, outdoors.
Down by the water, you'll find the Outpost Marina, where you can grab snacks, drinks, or rent kayaks, because nothing says vacation mode like realizing halfway across the bay that your arms are not in kayaking shape. Next to the marina is one of the 2 boat launches and a big grassy park with picnic tables. 2 playgrounds for the kids to burn off all that energy you wish you still had.
There's a huge pavilion that can handle large group gatherings, and a sandy beach where you can dip your toes in the warm Florida water. If you're craving something a little more rugged, head over to Anchor Cove. It's the more primitive, state park style section. Lots of trees, lots of shade, and dirt back-in sites with water and electric, but no sewer. Don't worry though, there's a dump station, because no one wants to play let's drive the RV full of tanks around town. This site also has tiny cabins to rent and raised tent platforms to keep your tent and your sanity off the ground.
All in all, Blue Angel Park is a seriously impressive mix of comfort, nature, and wow, they really thought of everything. And if you're eligible to stay at military family camps, definitely put this one on your list. Your RV will thank you, your dog will thank you, and honestly, so will your sanity. Thanks so much for coming along with us on this trip, friends. We've got plenty more exciting places coming up. And because it wouldn't be RV life without a little chaos, probably a few more inverter problems too. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the fun, the views, or the electrical mysteries we keep stumbling into.
And as always, we will see you on the next adventure.